Over the last few weeks, we've talked about what it looks like to see the Holy Spirit at work in and around us. The fruit of the Spirits are the qualities that show us evidence of God working in us, in others, and in the world. God's fruit can be found in many places and in many situations. You just have to look for it. Seeing God in the world isn't always easy because there's a lot of pain, struggle, and heartbreak. It can make us wonder where we see God in all of it. A lot of the stuff that goes viral online makes it into the news, your parents listen to and watch, and your classmates talk about. They typically aren't the good things, right? When we look at others and the world, the not so great qualities seem easier to spot. It's easier to think that the world should be a better place and that people should be better, but we don't always see the better around us. When we ask ourselves, where did I see God today? It can help us see more than just the negative things in this world. Paul dedicated his life to making sure that people knew about God and what it looked like to see God in themselves, others, and the world. He listed qualities to look for that show God's work, and it's called the fruit of the Spirit. The fruit of the Spirit comes from the Holy Spirit at work in us. So we see these qualities and we know they came from God. The fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. We may not always see the qualities of the fruit in the people and the circumstances around us, but just because we don't see them doesn't mean they aren't there. Paul explained what it looks like when we're not living in step with God and growing God's fruit. Those who are dominated by the sinful nature and think about sinful things, but those who are controlled by the Holy Spirit think about things that please the Spirit. Our sinful nature is when our minds, decisions, rules, and desires get in the way of God's best for us. The opposite of being dominated by sinful nature is letting the Holy Spirit guide our thoughts, our actions, words, choices, and even the way that we view the world. The more that we're connected to God, the easier it is to find evidence of God's fruit in the world. We can look for the Spirit of God in others in the world. God is always working for good, and there is always fruit coming from the Holy Spirit. We just have to choose to see it and look for God in others and in the world. Difficult parts of life will always happen. But when we look for the Holy Spirit in others and the world, we'll find positive things even when life is difficult. We'll find God at work in our good and in the world around us. Look for the Holy Spirit in others and in the world. When you're doing this, you can try this. When you see it, learn from it. When someone is showing a part of God's fruit that you'd like to grow in, pay attention and ask the Spirit to help you learn from them. And the second thing is, when you see it, call it out. Encourage the people in your life by pointing out God's fruit when you see it in them. The fruit of the Spirit is all around us, and it's how we see the Spirit of God at work in us, in others, and in the world. Look for God's fruit in yourself and connect with the Holy Spirit and keep growing it. Look for God's fruit in others and give them encouragement when you see it. When you see God in the world around you, let those things grow your faith in new ways, step by step.